Hang on to those questions. The reason being is the first location we go to after here, I will be able to answer most of those questions without you having to even ask them. You have to remember I'm out here 7 nights a week. I know exactly what you guys are going to ask. So with that said, quick demo on the thermal imaging. You should be able to see me in there. Sorry, Jason, but that means I'm the hottest thing in there. See, that's my joke. So I'm the red, orange, and yellow guy in there, right? So we're literally looking for the blue and black spots to either take shape or move on their own. So again, do we capture something with this every single night? We don't. But if we're not recording for most of the night, we won't capture anything. There's also a blue dot bouncing around the screen. So that blue dot is giving us the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. So this is a very unique setup that I have here because it's actually helping to direct our eye. So when you guys get your video back, that blue dot will be there to be able to help to direct your eye on where the coldest spot is in that frame at that particular moment. So with this said, Marsha, I think we're going to go with you on this one. Like, you're already kind of, like, she's into it. So this is some of the higher tech that I have. So you're going to hold that horizontal just like that all night long. It is a cell phone, so treat it as such.
Like this way?
You want to be able to watch it. How are you going to watch it?
Okay. I thought you wanted to see it.
No, I don't want to see it. You're going to watch it.
Are you?
I'm going to watch it tomorrow.
Let me take this.
I
This is
can
my
have
bag.
to.
No,
Okay,
I'll put it in
thank
my
you.
bag.
Okay, thank you.
It's got a bum folder.
Oh, I see that. Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't see that ahead of time.
That's okay.
You going to be all right?
Yep.
Okay. So your left hand is over the camera right now, so you should have nothing but orange. There you go.
Sure.
So
Well, I might need it to hit some.
How's that?
Perfect. So you're going to keep it horizontal all night.
If you
We're going
don't
to do a
mind.
few starts and stops with it because as great as this hardware is, the software is horrible. So if we record for too long, we'll lose all footage, and we don't want to do that. So I'll always give you the cues for the starts and stops. It is recording now, so everybody knows how to watch the video with that blue dot in there. But again, when you restart it back up again, make sure it's in this horizontal position. Otherwise, the video will be sideways, and then I have to give out your phone number. It's never fun. No, I'm kidding. It's not like they already have it anyway. But my point is, just try to keep it horizontal with the camera to your left. Let's get Abby something, because she's very eager.
Said no one ever. Ladies down flat. Oh, sure. So
The umbrellas, you mean?
Yeah, so that they're not hitting
Yep,
me.
hitting the back.
Yeah.
I'm going to go the other direction.
You're so please, girl.
Kitty, you sure you still want to hang with us?
All right.
Yeah.
Quick demo with this one. You should not be able to see me in that black little screen right here. So it should be pretty dark. So we're going to turn on some lights for Abby so she can see. We're working with, the whole screen should be purple at this point. So you should be able to see me pretty clearly.
Yeah, you're purple.
This is infrared lighting. So this is light we cannot see with our own eyes. So this guy is brand new. I just got this. It's a new upgrade on the camera. So we are going to be recording with this guy quite a bit throughout the night, and I'll kind of show you more about that. This guy loves to capture orbs, but the gist behind this is that we're going to hopefully find something in the video that we normally wouldn't be able to see with our own eyes because we're using light we can't see with our own eyes. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah. Okay. So this is the handle right here, so you're going to handle it like that. Now that both cameras are out, we're going to be hitting some spaces where there might be some parked vehicles. So with that said, I get both cameras out first thing, so that way we can kind of talk about that. In the event, I kind of do an Andy's Coming from Toy Story. Basically, you're going to be the more conspicuous one. You're going to point your camera at the ground. People don't like their cars to be filmed, and people don't like to be filmed themselves. You have a cell phone, much easier to hide. You can just basically like look at it like you're playing on your cell phone. If I do a, let's act casual kind of mentality.
Don't worry about it.
You'll be fine.
Just don't record anybody who's not in this group.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. It's a great tool to have. All right, let's get into spirit boxes. This is going to be our way to communicate with the dead.
That would be Lynn.
Exactly.
You had that figured out, didn't they?
Did. Just want to make sure I have the right one. Perfect. All right, so spirit boxes. This is basically going to sweep through the FM radio stations at a very fast rate. On your TV shows and YouTube shows, it's basically where they give you just white noise, and then your host will tell you what he thinks he heard in the middle of it. These are slowed down on purpose. Those disembodied voices that they show you on TV, most of them are bogus, because those are a pretty big rarity. I do get them on this tour, but again, it is a rarity that we actually capture them from the recording. So with these being slowed down, I want you listening for song lyrics, DJs, and commercials. If you can make out what they're actually saying, which is not easy to do, I want you to tell me what you've heard. If you heard a car commercial that says, buy it today, I want to know that you heard buy it today. Like, that's how crazy this thing can actually be. So
Why would you think they would be coming through with those kind of things?
It's
You're
almost
asking them to?
exactly. So basically, we're going to be asking questions throughout the night in different spaces. Sometimes I'll be giving you impromptu questions, but if we can make out what you're actually hearing, it's a 50-50 shot. I can tie it to the location of where we are, a person in history we're talking about, even something going on with one of you. You guys bring ghosts with you all the time, and I don't know until I start getting messages, and all of a sudden Linda tells me like there's 5 relative terms that are all relatable to somebody that she knows that's been passed for years. So again, it happens all the time. You're going to have an earbud in. Are you comfortable with that? Yeah. Okay. So the earbud I don't want back because obviously earwax is gross, and I buy them in bulk. So you're going to control the volume on your own. So whatever, and this one's going to record for us. So tomorrow morning you all are going to get this recording back. Whatever Lynn hears in real time, I'll be writing down on my little notebook, so that way you guys have the real-time notes on top of the things that I find when I'm spot checking this audio for you. It's already recording at this point. I already started it. The only thing you have to worry about is untying the twist tie here to get the earbud loose, and the volume button is right where my finger is. It's a wheel. So
Okay,
start.
some light.
There's a wheel right here.
That's the volume.
That's the volume.
Just need to
I'll hold this. Can you
okay,
undo
sure
that?
can.
Yeah. Get a little twist.
Hey, what does the ghost look like on this thing?
We'll see it tomorrow.
Well, I know I
Look at the recording back tomorrow.
saw a psychic medium not too long ago, and I know I've got lots of spirits around me. I don't know.
I'm about to find out.
One is my mother.
Okay.
She's not here, right?
Maybe she's not here.
She's not here.
How do I know she's not
We
here?
don't
She
know
can be
that.
wherever I'm. How do
You're
I
on
make
Earth.
this so that I can fit one on each ear? Or am I
No,
doing this?
you're just going to use one.
Oh, okay. I did.
Most people just use one, so that way they can hear me as well.
Okay. That's. Okay.
So, Abby, to answer your question, and you guys are not listening very well, I said hang on to your questions. Most of the time, and I'm joking, guys, really, but this is interactive. With that said, basically, we never know what's actually going to pop up on there. If it's going to be an orb, it'll probably show up as kind of a moving circle. I'll debunk a lot of bugs for us throughout the night. An orb is a ghost trying to manifest.
What's it want?
She has too many questions.
So many questions. Save them for later. Save them for later. He's still going through the intro.
Yeah, I still got more stuff to go through. Alright, the next spirit box is going to work a lot differently. This one is going to give us words from time to time in the center of the screen. So where those 3 dots are, that's where the words are going to start popping up from. It's going to save all those terms into a list. Last night I had 97 terms and phrases pop up. So I'm going to clear out last night's list and start us off fresh. 80% of what comes out of this thing, this is a phone app, okay? We're just using the dictionary that's inside of it. There's over 9,100 terms in its dictionary. 80% of it isn't going to mean anything. It's the other 20% that I'll be able to tie to the location, a person in history, one of us. It's the same principle of what we're doing with this spirit box, just in a different format. All you have to do is hang on to this guy, and I will come to you. Oh yeah, everybody's working tonight. So I don't want to see every word that pops up. I will come to you when I want to see the list. Otherwise, we're going to be out here till like 4 in the morning. Again, 97 terms. You're going to keep flipping that phone back to me, and there's no need for it.
So I just hang on to it and he'll keep.
You don't have to do a thing.
I don't have to do a thing
Nope.
except hold it.
Just hang on to it.
Perfect. I'm hoping the
I
jobs
can
get
do
easier.
that. The jobs get easier.
These are pretty common on your ghost hunting TV shows. These are electromagnetic field
I
meters.
never watched one.
So it's perfectly fine. That's why I explain everything. So this is going to measure electromagnetic field. So anything that's going to give off a signal, cell phones, wiring, parking meters, buildings, anything that's going to put off an electric pulse, this is going to be able to measure for us. I use this guy to actually debunk a lot of things ahead of time. So that way, in case something does come up, I kind of see what the pattern is, if there is one, and then compare it to another one. This is your job.
Thank you. I don't have to do a thing, right?
You just have to tell me what colors you see when they pop up.
Okay, and they'll pop up beside this?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
I have an easy job.
Jason, you're my multitasker.
All right.
So this is what we call a millimeter. So basically it's going to have 3 different functions to it. It has an EMF meter built into it, so anything on the big numbers that goes above 2.5 is the second green dot on Linda's device. So again, I like to do comparisons, so just let me know anything above 2.5
On the big one.
on the big number. The bottom number is ambient temperature. MARSHA finds something on her camera, you and I can debunk it or prove it pretty quickly because there's an ambient thermometer right here. Okay? The last thing that it has a motion sensor in it. It's called a REM pod. So if something gets close to that antenna, it'll make it go off. I'm not touching it yet. So the closer it gets, that's touching it. You get higher pitches and different color arrangements in here, and we're going to talk more about that at the first location. I'm going to shut that part off for now.
Okay.
Just focus on those red numbers.
Okay.
All right. All right, guys, go have fun. Let me know what happens.
See you in the morning.
I know,
So
right?
this is hooked up to some FM station. So here
It's a radio.
But when we get to the place,
It's just-
we'll open up. But for now, you don't.
That's what I want you listening for.
other voices.
I want you listening for the DJs, the song lyrics, and the commercials.
Why?
Because it's the 50-50 shot. They're using those voices to be able to convey messages back to us. Again, it's a 50-50 shot. So buy it now is probably not going to be relevant. But if you hear a specific number relevant to, we'll just say 55 because it's on the side of the building,
I see.
then
So I
it,
listen to where we're at, and then if I hear, okay.
you got it.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Mine's muted.
Yes, on purpose. Why? Because it growls and makes stupid noises because it's meant to try to scare people. We just need the word list to be able to generate those terms for us. The claim on your spirit box, just so you're clear on what it's actually doing, all of this mess here at the top, and you see all the numbers, it's claiming to go through the FM frequencies the exact same way as the spirit box and spitting out what it hears. The game we are playing is, did a ghost generate the word or did the app generate the word? That's why 80% of it is going to be garbage. That's why I don't want to say every single term and wasting my time on 80% garbage. So again, we're going to talk more about these devices at that first stop. Okay. You got the blinky lights. That's an easy one. And you're a camera person. You got an easy one too. All right. So let's talk about why we started here, as this is going to be a very questioning group, which is cool. You guys keep me on my toes, and I have groups like this.
We need water too.
The building behind me, Big John's Tavern, there's a reason why I have you meet me here. This place used to be owned by a football player called Big John Kennedy. That was his name. So it was his bar, and he used to sit in the back of it. And he would tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. But one night, two guys come in, they're not old enough to drink. So he has a bartender throw them out. They leave pretty angry, but they come back the next night and try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John's not happy about this. He sees what's going on, he slams down his beer, and he gets up and he just starts pounding these two cadets into the floor, just beating the heck out of them. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets grazed in the neck, and the bullet lands behind him in the wall. John gets up after being shot, the only one being shot, by the way. He goes back to the bartender and tells him to get him another beer, get the two guys on the floor, an ambulance. The irony of the story is that normally you think of a haunted building, somebody died there. Not necessarily. What's haunting this place is the bullet hole. It's allegedly still here, as far as the hole, not the actual bullet. As far as the hole goes, even if they filled it in with the renovation of the Big Johns we're looking at right now, Big John's blood is still in the building. So that's what's haunting the place. People that sit in the front of this bar tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache. This is your heated warning. Fingers crossed we're going to have some paranormal activity tonight. I don't know how it's going to affect any of you. Please let me know if you feel any of those symptoms. It is a very big deal. Safety first, always. So again, headache, nausea, dizziness. That way we can move the whole group and get that person to safety. I won't say that people haven't passed out on this tour before where I've had to call paramedics. It's never a good time. So that's the scariest thing I'm going to tell you all night long.
This is a mental.
Now, have you guys all taken other Charleston historical tours of some sort? Nothing?
This morning. Or this morning.
Okay, so you took a historical tour.
Yeah.
And somebody probably mentioned our big earthquake in 1886, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Right. So, allegedly, this is where the first death occurred from that earthquake, Big John's. The white mantle you see in the middle of the building also wraps around the front. A piece of it broke off up there from the earthquake, hit somebody in the back of the head, and they say it killed him, and you can see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street. I say apparently and allegedly a lot with that one because I don't have any proof. It's just a great segue story so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour. I know, as I mentioned it again, right? Is everybody ready to go ghost hunting except for Linda? Because I know she's not.
Yep, I got the green light. I'm ready.
She's got the green light. She's good to go. And you should be filming. You don't need to be filming the ground. You could be filming me this whole time. All right, I'm going to cut through you ladies, and we're going to count
At least we're together, not separate.
So far. So far.
good spots. So it's a wheel right next to the button. It's kind of inlaid a little bit, not the button. You want to go, yeah, there you go.
Here?
Mm-hmm. You feel it now?
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks.
Yep. All right, so welcome to the Big Red Barn Lots. We're not going to spend a lot of time here, but when I have my groups of 10, this is where I get to show you more things about your devices a little bit. All right,
Sorry.
so this is where we keep the horses for your carriage rides. You guys can probably smell them. I cannot. I'm out here 7 nights a week. Pretty much immune to it. The history here is really simple, and I did it that way on purpose so that way we can actually talk about your devices and then go deep dive into much longer history than, obviously, a Big Red Barn. So the history here is this is where we held horses that once delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. That's it, from 1860s to 1920s, and that's a rough estimate. So let's talk about the two spirit boxes we have running right now. Spirit boxes, this is not a Ouija board nor television shows. I know you guys said you don't watch the TV shows, but everybody always asks the same question when they're working with devices like this because they're getting communication. That question is somebody here? Right? And if somebody says no, that means somebody's here. So we are not going to be asking yes and no questions all night long. We're going to be going after the specifics because whether you're a skeptic or not, you're here on an investigation and you're not going to get actual paranormal proof from yes and no questions. For an example, this particular location, I would normally tell the spirit boxes you want to ask questions like, what color is the Big Red Barn? The reason why I say that is because you already know what the answer is. You know you're listening for the color red. However, Lynn's device is obviously using song lyrics and DJs to convey messages back to us. The word red might not be available for them to give us a direct answer. So basically, fire truck, heart, blood, those three things are specifically red. I would take that as an acceptable answer if we heard it in real time after we asked the question. What color is the Big Red Barn? Blood. I'm good with that. However, most of the night I'm going to require that two happenings from two different devices are actually going on to be able to verify what's going on. Another example. Getting Sean.
Yes.
Correct. Perfect. Look at me go. All right, so group of 6, not 10. So let's say Sean's device has the word art on it. It doesn't right now. I can almost guarantee you that. And Lynn here's the number 40. Neither one of those terms mean anything by themselves, but put them together. Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. You see where we're going to have to put these clues together all night long? Again, it's always about the verification of what's actually happening. If we get specific names, hopefully we get another clue that's relative to that specific person. It's always going to be a direct, what other piece can we actually verify? And that other piece could be a reading on Jason or Linda's devices. They could be giving us high spikes in that area while we're getting something else going on. The two films, as far as the videos, like these two particular things, it's not always an in-the-moment type catch. Unfortunately, we're working with small screens here. So the steadier and slower you're going to be able to get on your videos, the better we're going to have a chance of actually capturing something. So with your particular video, MARSHA, let's talk about yours. So you're going to try to do two things. You're going to try to keep one of us in view. The reason being is because we're going to be the warmest things out here, and we want that array of color. It's going to be, what is it, about 71 degrees out here, 72 roughly? We're going to be, is it really 78?
78.
He's got the temperature.
Wow.
He would know.
Wow.
So, but with us, we're going to be 97 and 99. That array of color makes things a lot easier to find the cold spot, so forth and so on. We're going to make sure it's not wind grouping up in a corner of a lot somewhere or something like that. We're going to verify everything. The other thing you're going to try to do is keep the sky out of view. The reason being is because that blue dot is going to default to the sky.
Which blue dot are you talking about?
That one, it's in.
Okay, that one.
So it's going to be bouncing around the screen the whole time. But when you have the sky in view, your finger is covering the camera, by the way. That's why your whole...
Isn't that it?
This is the camera. The lens is right there where your finger's at.
Okay.
There you go.
Can I?
Yep,
can I hold
however
it
you
like
want to do
that?
it. Whatever makes you
Okay.
comfortable.
Yep.
And again, you can grip it. I mean, even though you almost dropped it, notice I didn't panic. It's a construction phone. I did that on purpose because it takes abuse. So that blue dot is going to default to the sky if the sky is in view. You see how the sky's in view in the distance right there? Mm-hmm. It's going to do that because there's no surface.
So you want me not to see the blue dot there?
Right. So again, if you can keep the sky out, great. If it's some of these spaces, that's going to be impossible. So just do your best.
Okay.
Abby, you're going to try to keep that thing nice and steady. The more you jerk around with it, the harder it's going to be able to capture anything. So again, you're a YouTuber at this point, literally, because that video is going to go to YouTube, and then I'm going to send it back to the website. So the slower you can move around with that thing, the better. I may even give you an extra spirit box, just so that you can be kind of double-fisted, and that way we can get a third set of ears on a spirit box to be able to work with. Not to mention, these two videos are actually recording audio as well, so they can also be used as, you know, points of reference for the stories. Oh, you already? Histories. I didn't even get into the deep stuff yet. All right, I'm going to show you more, Jason, at the next location about that REM pod. So I say we go much deeper into history than ponies and football players. What do y'all think?
Okay.
Any words pop up? Obviously, you've had a couple.
Yeah,
We're
I
gonna
have.
take a look. So
I've had a lot of words pop up.
Where are they
Curious,
Where are they popping up from? Do you remember?
From the spirits.
Yeah? Is that good?
I don't see anything that's relevant so far. I mean, crops is somewhat close because of the next location. But again, until I have a confirmation of what type of crops, then we're going to hopefully get that while we're over there. So basically that's generating words from the app. It has over 9,000 words in there. So the app is going to automatically generate terms randomly. But the
Yeah.
game we're playing is because I use this thing all the time.
Yeah.
It will give us very specific things relative to our location while we're there. And that's the whole point. So
So this is very staticky. Is it going to be staticky?
the whole night.
Okay.
The whole night. All right.
Okay.
Let's move on to the next phase.
When I said that, I just heard a loud something, but I wasn't sure what I heard.
That's why we record it. So even if you struggle with that
Yeah,
tonight, it's not a big deal because I'm going to go through it again in the morning and
Is
give you guys
anybody
some
out
markers.
there?
That's a yes or no question.
Oh, I'm sorry. What night is tonight? Anybody know?
A lot of color just came up.
What color did you see?
Like that orange, yellow, red, blue. It's like a rainbow.
You saw them all?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't think there's no blue in there.
Okay, well, they're gone now, but they were.
They went all the way across?
Yep.
Charleston.
Normally omit Charleston because you're listening to Charleston radio stations.
All right.
So again, there's going to be a lot of things that I'm going to be like, yeah, that's a no.
Green, yellow, orange, red.
Get them again?
Yep. What, can you see them?
Oh, yeah. Gotta make sure I don't trip over anything.
What's his name again?
Nick.
Nick.
Yeah.
It's funny, it's from Youngstown.
Not necessarily. So the whole point of this, again, I can't make the ghost say go here, then go there, go, and like it's just a matter of like what do they feel like using. That's why I like to get as many as possible.
You see those colors?
But they're not lit up.
Yes, they are.
No, these are not lit up. That's a sticker.
Okay.
Did you see lights along the top?
No.
Okay. I thought you were seeing the lights across the top.
No, sir, I was not.
Okay. So you're looking for the lights across the top.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, Lynn, come on in because you need to find out what's going on in here first before we start asking rando questions. So, this is going to be a group, huh?
Yeah, that is a group.
So, welcome to a beautiful side of Charleston, right? It's a parking lot. You guys don't know where to park by the time I'm done with you. I don't know how to help you, just so you know. But with this space, this actually used to be something pretty important, actually. This was the Eliza and Charles Pinckney mansion site. So their mansion actually sat in the front of this lot, facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant and came all the way across, and we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So, who the heck were these people? First off, spirit boxes, I'm not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse. You're not going to know the answers to your questions. I do that purposely so everybody has a genuine experience. So I definitely think like once I'm done telling you the history here, I think I'm going to get Abby another one like yours so that way she can listen in at the same time as videoing for us. So Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses. Do you guys see why I look for those secondary clues now? So, what's that?
The name of the town, Charleston.
Yeah, but not named after these folks.
Oh, now I've got color.
Now you've got colors. See there? Now it's blinking.
Okay.
So, the son and the nephew, the Charleses, they were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. It's a pretty big deal for us, but I hate politics more than you. We're going to move on. Eliza, she married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. So if you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, it's not going to be like 12 and 14, right? Like it would have been back in colonial times. So it would have been, obviously, according to today's standards. The reason I bring this up is because Charles, her husband, was over double her age when they married. It's a pretty big age gap between the two of them. Now, her father, in England, thought he was dying. He wanted to see all of his children one last time. He was trying to bring Eliza home. She didn't think he was dying, so she put her foot down and got married. In 1744, she didn't marry Charles for a green card or for citizenship because we're not even a country yet. She did marry him out of love, and even after Charles died, she did remain a widow. So that was a very long time because remember, Charles, he's double her age, so it was a while. But Dad didn't die right away. She was right. So Dad starts sending her gifts to this space based on like an apology, and one of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. Indigo makes a blue dye that makes her blue jeans blue. That's how we use it today. So she didn't know what to do with these seeds when she got them. She had to learn from her slaves on how to keep the crop cultivated. See where the word crop comes into play with my brain at this point? So once she had it figured out here and learned from her slaves, she moves it to a plantation just north of here, and then calls her father up and says, the rice plantations are going downhill. We can make a killing with this indigo. Now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times, something absolutely unheard of for this time frame. That's Eliza's business. That's the boring stuff. Let's get into the weird stuff, because that's why you guys are all here. Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles, back to back. Really smart or really stupid, depending on how you look at it. Same year, no less. The first wife, Eliza, passes away, and 5 months later, he marries the one who plants the indigo. Ironically, both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. That's all I'm going to tell you. If you want to find out which Eliza we're dealing with, ask her maiden name.
Eliza? What was
Hang
her
on.
maiden
We don't
name?
want to go. There's more to go.
Oh.
That was just one question.
Okay.
So the mansion's not here anymore. You can ask what happened to it. And then if we get an answer, you can ask what year it happened. So again, very specific questions. Okay. Eliza's children, now we're getting some lights. That's good. Eliza's children, there are more than just the one Charles that I mentioned. There's more kids than that. You can ask her how many kids she had and what their names are, but that's it. The reason being is because there's a tragedy among those kids. We don't want to poke the bear. If we start poking the bear, all activity will stop, including Linda's little blinky lights over there.
What was the tragedy?
I'm going to tell you before we leave. Let's not poke the bear. Eliza's death is where she's pretty open. You can ask her how she died, how old she was when she died, where she's buried.
I have a 3-6.
Nice. These are all things I have to write down. That's good stuff. We're going to escalate it. So just as the numbers go up, let me know each one that goes higher. So we don't need anything below 3-6 right now. Otherwise, I'll be writing down 1,000 numbers. But there was a U.S. president that served as a pallbearer at Eliza's funeral. Try to find out who that president was without using your phones. So again, get the answers
Without
from your spirit box.
Googling?
No Googling.
No Googling.
I get those jerks every once in a while, and what they do, they're the skeptic that will literally Google everything, then go tell everybody the answers when I'm not looking. Yeah, happens. Not a lot, but it happens enough. So we are going to spread out in here. We're going to stay away from vehicles. Obviously, we're not going to go in between vehicles. These vehicles actually belong to employees that work down here. Some of them might be in their cars taking a break. Again, I'll do an Andy's coming if somebody's going to be going to their car, so that way we can act casual. But yeah, let's spread out. We're going to be, basically you should be following Linda. She knows exactly where the hot spots are going to go. Abby and Jason, you guys need to hang back so I can show you more and get you a new device so you can do use too. But yeah, spread out, start asking those questions. Let's see what we can come up with.
Spread out.
We'll keep together with
Hey, Eliza. Thank you. What was your maiden name? Eliza? What's your maiden name?
We had lots of color right here.
Eliza. What's your maiden name? Tell me your maiden name. Eliza. I can't. Can you say it louder? Eliza, say your maiden name. Eliza. Say it carefully. What's your maiden name?
ask her what happened to the mansion.
Eliza, what happened to the mansion? Eliza, what happened to the mansion?
Who was the president? Who was her pallbearer?
What U.S. president was your pallbearer? Johnson? Say it again. What was his name? Who was the pallbearer at your? Who was the pallbearer at your funeral? Eliza. Eliza.
What are you supposed to be saying?
Just words. How about the names of
Is
her
this
other
blood?
children?
What's blood mean, Eliza? What does blood mean? What do you mean by blood?
Ask her the names of her other children. Even if it's staticky, it's
Okay.
recording for him.
Eliza, what are the names of your children? You had a Charles. What were the other names?
Let's walk a little bit.
Yeah, just walk over
Okay.
here. Let's
What
go
were the
to her
names-
garden. Her garden that she
Eliza,
loves.
what were the names of your children?
It's more back there.
Yeah, it seemed like we had more activity.
look,
Oh,
look,
look, Fred, go over here.
Hey, Eliza, what were the names of your children, please? Eliza, your children are probably with you. Give me their names.
There's Red.
It's just one more dot after that.
Eliza, can you be more clear?
That's a yes or no question.
Oh, that's true. Eliza, okay, what happened to your mansion? What's it say?
What's it say? Cheer.
Cheer. What do you mean by cheer?
How about what was the name of your child who died?
I thought we weren't supposed to ask that, were we? Isn't that we weren't supposed to ask that?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't get out much.
Eliza, what can you tell us about the mansion? Was there a fire? No, that's a yes or no question, I know. It's hard not to ask.
I know.
Okay, so she's moved, so we need to move to
Yeah. What's another question you said?
her garden.
The garden?
The garden is when it really started acting. Maybe go over here. Her garden was over here, right?
No, it's back there. This is the front of the mansion. Well, he said mansion, garden, slave quarters.
Okay, look at all that.
Yeah.
Mansion.
Mansion,
Mansion?
garden, slave quarters.
Eliza, you want to tell us about the mansion? Can you tell us about the mansion?
That's a yes or no.
What happened to the mansion?
We've got lots of lights.
Yeah. Eliza, who was pallbearer at your funeral?
All right, so they've already figured out who the president was because it came loud and clear through Abby's spirit box.
Johnson?
Nope. You heard Johnson?
I thought I did.
It's not Johnson. So, gotta remember the time frame that she was there.
Well, I know, but I thought maybe there's an old Johnson. I don't know. I don't remember my presidents. Okay. I don't.
I'm not asking you to remember them. I'm asking you to get an answer.
I know. It's so much static. It's so hard to hear get any answers from this.
So let me take a look at your word list. Let me see what we got going on. Just hold it for me. I'm going to go to the list. Oh, look at that. The word blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, still, I mean... How long ago did Free show up? This is 9:36. Did that just show up?
Yeah,
Love
we
is
did.
recent.
Yeah, just most recent.
And Cheer. I don't know what Cheer.
Cheer, specialty, free.
So the free portion of it would have made more sense if you were still back in the slave quarters, but I mean, we're still on the property. I mean, it's really a stretch, so
Tell
until we
about
get
how
something
many
else.
lights you were getting. You were
I
I
getting
got all of them
she
but
was
the very
getting
last
even
one.
the red, not
Yeah,
the
we
last,
got-
but the red.
got
Up to
all
the
the
red.
lights,
Nice.
different places.
So up to about 20 milligauss, that's good.
1, 2, 3,
He's
4.
gotten all the way up to an 11 on his. His is just more accurate.
Sure. Mine this is older. So there would be 5 more lights
Eliza?
lighting if
Right.
they all lit, and there have
Right.
been
Can you
4.
give me the names
Okay.
of your children?
Several times, by the way.
Yeah, the red showed it
And especially when
Please,
we were,
Eliza.
in this area.
well, we were trying to discern, and I said no, mansion, garden, slave quarters. And she
Eliza?
just kind of went to, there it is again. She just kind of went
I
crazy.
know you're here. Eliza, help us out. Who are your children?
Just to say a word. Nothing. There's more activity back by the
So
garden.
does this have anything to do with what they're asking?
So
What-
with the questions that are being asked in a specific location, this is one of the reasons why I like to get as many things out as I possibly can. The answers can go anywhere. There's an audio in there. I'm carrying audio. Abby has an audio. And now I just brought out a third spirit box. So that's 6 pieces that the answer can go to. So if you guys were asking about the president, she got the answer. I mean, it was loud and clear.
Wow.
It's one of the first things she heard.
Is she on the same station I am?
No, it's she's going through FM radio stations, but they're not synced up together. So again, it's
Can I change my radio station? Would you do you think that
Why would
makes-
I do that?
I don't know, because I'm not getting
it's
it.
going through every FM radio station right now.
So who was the president?
I'm not going to
So
tell you yet.
how come theirs was so loud?
Because-
How come hers was so
It just picked
clear?
up that signal at that particular time.
Oh.
So again, Abby, show her your. I want to show you something. Bring up the spirit box.
I heard 44 and I heard like rain like 4 times.
So these are the radio stations. I turn them on at different times.
Okay.
So again, they all start off at 89.8 or whatever the
Oh,
89.
so it's going through all the stations.
Every one.
That's what's going
That's
on.
why I was like, I'm not going to sync them up.
I didn't understand that. Did you? I thought I was on one station. I didn't know what the
Really?
numbers meant.
Yeah.
That's very good.
What's
I
going on?
jumped.
The passenger seat.
The what?
There's a clown throwing in the passenger seat.
Interesting. There you go.
No.
Yeah, I see it.
What's he doing?
Scaring us.
It's probably a dummy. It's probably a doll. This is Charleston. You see weird stuff every day.
Eliza, can you tell us the names of your children?
Joseph.
It's not one of them.
Look at that. There we went the red again.
Eliza, what happened at the mansion? What happened to your mansion? Is this the Eliza with the indigo? Or no? Is this
You
the-
tell me. She's got to tell us who she is first.
Eliza, what did you plant in your garden? Tomatoes? I don't know what's coming across and what I'm just.
And you know she's not in the box, right?
No, I
like it's
know
not a
that. I know.
walkie-talkie.
No, I know.
Oh, come on. We captured her back there in the garden. I know we did.
Eliza, wherever you are.
People do that because it's easier to talk to something than nothing.
Yeah.
So I see it
exactly.
almost every single night. And Marsha's just back there grinning. She's just like, this is hysterical. So,
What was the
Shouldn't
name
we
of
walk if nothing's happening here?
absolutely.
Thank you.
Always walk.
It said something about communications and like an ad. And then also said love.
Let's keep walking and
Is she giving you the names of the children I keep asking?
She hasn't said anything yet.
Joseph isn't one of the names.
Sure.
Eliza, what was your husband's name? Eliza, what was your husband's name?
I'm not getting anything back here at all. This is like garden.
Eliza, what was your husband's
No,
name?
the slave quarters.
Did you
Here.
love-
How many slaves did she have?
Eliza, we're in your garden.
What did you love
Do you want us to look for anything in your garden?
That's a yes or no.
That's right.
There's nothing
Eliza,
back here.
What did you plant in your garden?
There is nothing back here.
What did you plant in your garden? Eliza. Tell us your children's names, please. Come on, you're with us. We know you're here. All right, I think we need to move on to another site. Get other people. I think Eliza's not going to talk to us tonight. That car running. What happened to the clown? The clown left. Is that really? No, it's still there. That is freaky. That's freaky. Is it turning its head? I feel like it's turning its head.
Is that your car?
It's turning its head.
We're going to stay away from that car. What are you hearing at this point?
Blah, blah, nothing.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's not easy to do, is it?
No.
Okay. Anything
Trust
coming
me.
up on your words?
Sub.
Sub. Let's see what else we got.
Joseph and Sub.
Oh my God! Take a picture of that clown face.
No, let's not take any pictures. The people are hanging out in their cars. It's probably somebody taking a nap and they just put a mask on to be
So people don't bug you.
Site where we might have more activity.
I said so people won't bug you.
Alright, so let's go back to the back away from the clown car and get you guys some answers. Come on.
If you want to talk to us, speak now.
There you go.
See you soon, maybe. Hey, we're right past. Across the trees.
Yeah, not as high as those were over in Hill area. One or two maybe, but
Okay. Like I said, I just want you guys to kind of take a break with your video. So Marsha, go ahead and hit your square for me. It'll turn to a circle. Make sure it's in the cameras to your left first before you hit that start.
I already did.
So hit the stop and then restart it again. Being sideways, not a big deal. But with this space, this is one of the first streets we ever had because where we crossed over was where the original Charlestown Wall used to be. So again, we're inside the original city. Again, which is why I like to come down here, first off, and second off, the other tourists don't always like to come down here. So I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived down here. That's why I asked you all for names. The names I commonly get are Benjamin and John. Now, very common names, but when I say people live down here, I'm only talking like 2 to 6 people at a time. It wasn't a whole lot. There was a Benjamin and a John that both lived down here in 1801. Ironically, somebody heard the name Johnson before, right? Mm-hmm. So what's funny is John's last name, if we ever get confused on which one it was, because there were 4 of them that lived down here over like a 60-year span, John's last name was Johnson, of the one that lived here in 1801. John Johnson. So, but again, Benjamin and John show up here about every 6 to 7 weeks as far as with their names coming through on spirit boxes. Here's my theory on that. You're walking on Belgian blocks. These bricks are made straight from granite. So limestone is a pretty common term in the paranormal world.
Just
So I'm just hoping this
hold
rain
it
is going to
for me.
kind of just drizzle over. I know it said 13 minutes, but the bricks you're standing on are made straight from granite. They say that stone that comes natural from the earth like this, if it stays in the same spot, hangs on to the consciousness of memories.
You got 31.
31?
30.1.
That's crazy. Like normally we'll get like a 3 or 4 from the buildings, like never anything that high. That's pretty nuts. I'm gonna write that one down for sure. I can't get the weather out to show up in the middle of this hour.
It said 6 minutes.
6 minutes? Okay.
I'll be pretty wet in 6 minutes.
Let's get your umbrella.
Awning over there if you want to.
Do you want me to protect this?
Get one of the umbrellas out. Let me grab an umbrella.
Can you give me a name?
So, back to the blocks. Again, made from granite. That's why I get those same names every 6 to 7 weeks. I can't pinpoint an exact day or time frame, but it is about every 6 to 7 weeks that I hear those names. In the event this turns into a nasty storm, obviously we're going to have to find some shelter.
You have my umbrella.
Yeah, you want to get it?
No, I don't.
Turn it into a pretty
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
So protect those devices by all means. My bag is weatherproof, so I'm good of whatever's left in the bag. Where was I? Oh, before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here. So hence the name Lodge Alley. That's why they call it that. So we do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons. Obviously the term Freemason, brick, Mason itself. And I have gotten the term Illuminati quite a few times. First off, who the heck is talking about the Illuminati on the radio, which is where the messages are coming from? Second, why am I only hearing the term Illuminati in this space? I never look for it, it just pops up. Again, I'm not going to go into conspiracy theories with y'all, but that's just very uncanny that the word Illuminati shows up here quite often. Let's see what else happened. I usually stall down here because this is, again, like watching a loop. Things don't always, like, it's not a place where you can actually ask questions. Even the two folks that I hear their names common, Benjamin and John, nothing significant happened here in 1801 at the time that they lived here. It's just two random guys that I keep getting their same names over and over and over again. Every once in a while, a third name will pop up, the name Jane, which you don't hear too often that much anymore anyway. That was a third person that lived here in 1801. Again, very interesting space. The next place we're going to go to, and like I said, I stall here just so that the recordings can hopefully capture some of these phrases and terms, because we're about going into restarting the loop again. I'm about to start week 1 based on my calculations. So again, I don't know if anything else is going to pop up. But the next space is another alley. However, I can't take you all the way through it like what we just did here. I've been booted out of that one. So I still tell the story on the outside of the alley just because it does stir up a lot of things, and we will probably get terms from that alley through the remainder of our time together because we're going to be relatively close to it for the rest of the night. It's a very cool alley. It deals with dueling. So if you're into the take 10 paces, turn and shoot kind of duels, and I like to kind of give you a gist of what's going to happen for the rest of the night once we're here, because again, it allows me to stall for just a moment. Then we're going to get into some myths and legends, and based on whatever we're getting out of our spirit boxes, because there was 15 stories on that corner after that. If nothing is popping through, I'll get us prepared to start talking about a female pirate over at the Powder magazine and why we investigate her.
It said 3 primary and then drowned.
3 primary, well, primaries. Yeah, I got nothing on any of those, other than that the ground is wet. So we're going to walk through the rest of this alley, and I'm taking you literally along the edges of where tour guides me is allowed to take you through. So we'll stop filming once we exit the alley, so you'll stop your film, and obviously Marsha, you'll stop yours as we exit. So continue to record until we get to the edge, because we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood. We don't record in neighborhoods. So continue listening to those spirit boxes. As far as the EMF readings, that was crazy, 30.1. I don't think I've ever seen that down here.
What does that number mean again?
So that's measuring electromagnetic fields. So to kind of give you the gist, and the same gist I gave him, behind your television set is about 40 to 60 milligauss. He's measuring in milligauss. So 30 over here, where there's nothing.
Yeah.
Like I said, I expect a 3 to 4, maybe a 5 out of the buildings, just because the walls are so thick. But your microwave running on high is about 150 to 170 milligauss. And I have seen readings like that over at the Pinckney Mansion site that we just left. In fact, actually the highest reading I've ever seen on that device showed up just a few weeks ago. It was 214, and that was at the Pinckney Mansion site. And I have been to other places other than Charleston, so again, it's just very uncanny that that was 214. I didn't even know it went up that high. So that was kind of a crazy number for all of us that night. Plus other things showed up as well, so came through on the spirit boxes. So let's please be careful along here. Obviously these cobblestone bricks are going to be very slick, so take your steps nice and slow. I will walk very slow, but we're going to cross the street once we exit. And Abby, don't forget to stop your recording when we exit. You're still super focused on that spirit box. All right, perfect.
What does that mean? You said the word begging?
Like in the song.
We're going to wait for this car to pass.
Okay, and you want us to shut these off now?
Yeah, go ahead and stop that video. It's not going to act like we're YouTubers over here. You guys signed up for the filming and the crazy gadgets. They did not. So we're at Philadelphia Alley. This place used to be called Dueler's Alley. We all tell the story of one specific duel, so let's kind of get into it. There's a lot of details in this one, so a lot of things that'll come through on your spirit boxes. So, any words pop up in the past?
Tag right now.
That's it? I'm gonna put the one button. Okay, kind of a weak list tonight. So, the duel. A doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. I know we had the name Joseph show up on your word list earlier. A little too far away for this particular location, so nothing to verify it. But he moves down here because his fiancée Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with this because obviously her parents are gone. So the attorney thinks the doctor is just after her cash. He tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor. The doctor moves to Charleston to prove that he's not just after her money. As he's being brought into town, the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. So it wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston. But somebody walking by with the name Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop on Ralph for a second because you guys are all ghost hunting. It's not just ghost stories with me, right? Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from. So, Ralph Isaacs, Rhode Island. R.I. has shown up here a lot in the past 3 years that I've been looking into this space. So, we never know who it belongs to until we get that secondary clue, of course. So that's what that's, there for. But Ralph tells him, dude, you don't want to stay here. There's a gunman inside. He's going to try to kill you. I got some friends at 59 Church Street. You can rent a room from them, and you'll be safe, and you'll be good to go. So 59, obviously being a prominent number that we hear here, we want to be a little bit more inconspicuous with that. So maybe a little bit lower. There you go. So she's like holding it out like she's... So the doctor and Ralph become friends because obviously the doctor took him up on renting a room from Ralph's friends. The doctor's practice starts to take off. He's making his own money now. Amanda's moving down soon. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. Every haunted city you will ever visit in the future has a cliched whistling ghost. Ours is a doctor, just so you guys know. Him and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor gets better seats. He makes more money. That's the way things work. One night they go and see William III from Shakespeare. On their way home, they start arguing over the new actress that was in town. The doctor thought she was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. Yeah, they cut it pretty close here. So they start arguing. Then Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée back home in Rhode Island. It obviously gets very ugly and they go their separate ways. But Ralph is from here. He goes to his friends at the newspaper and he puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Because everybody knows him. He's the Whistling Doctor. The doctor sees this ad and he rebuttals with, let's just go to Dueler's Alley. We're going to settle this. So they come down, they take their 10 paces, they turn. The doctor points his gun in the air and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to show the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, which is often what happened during a duel. But Ralph has his one shot and he puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. So the doctor doesn't die either. He falls to the ground, but his friends pick him up. They carry him home to 59 Church Street where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. He was a doctor. He probably tried to bleed it out himself. So the ghost story of this is that as you walk through this alley behind me, you can actually hear the whistles from the doctor. I used to take my groups all the way through where we would just use the voice recorders. It was before we were using the headphones with the spirit boxes. So it was turn the spirit boxes down and we're going to use the regular audio. Though I have some I can't debunk, I sure do. But I know that every local around here knows the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or on Queen Street on the other side throws a whistle down the alley. So I do it every single night on my way back home, from meeting with you guys because my garage is right there. So I throw a whistle down the alley every single night. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you're going to explore that alley on your own, turn on your voice recorders. Listen to it later. See if you can hear the faint whistling in the background. They also say you can hear gunshots. I just don't have any proof of that. So here's how I got booted out of the place. Here's why I got kicked out. This is the fun part of the story. All the way at the end of this alley, the bricks are older because the alley didn't always come all the way through. So it obviously expanded, so it would expand in between two different streets. Those bricks on the other side they're sun-dried bricks from slave children. So there is a full handprint from the sun-dried bricks and some fingerprint swipes in those bricks. I would always show them off to my groups just because it's part of our history. It shows how far we've come. However, everybody likes to put a spirit box or an EMF detector, something near that brick with the handprint in it. That kid's not staring at that brick in the afterlife. I can guarantee you that. However, one night, November 26th of 2020, yes, I remember it very specifically, my group was all huddled around that brick trying to hope for some kind of contact. It's outside a gentleman's dining room window of his beautiful mansion that he just purchased. He was not very happy with my groups coming all the way down there, and I was in the wrong. So I played the new guy card, which I was still new at this, so it was like, all right, guess I'm not supposed to be all the way down here. So November 27th of that year was Thanksgiving. That's the next day. I did not have a tour. November 28th, I get a phone call from the tourism office. Complaint. Now they want me to either go down halfway, like this is what we're allowed to do, or reroute my entire tour. So I decide I'm going to reroute the tour. I tell my group on November 28th, we're going to reroute and kind of see what happens. I'm not a big pirate person, but I know a little bit, and we'll kind of see what goes on. They're okay with this. So I don't tell them what pirate we're going to be talking about, but along the way, somebody hears the name Anne on the spirit box. We're going to be discussing Anne Bonny. So you might want to get under Dad's umbrella. So I'm like, all right, maybe we do have a little bit of something going on here. It's all right, I'll fix your device. Once we get to the space, and I do tell what I do know, you get that red light piercing.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay. Just hit the power button one time.
Okay.
There we go. Once we get to the space, somebody else hears the number 300. I have no idea what the heck the number 300 is. So I go home, I do my research. We were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's piracy trial was on November 28th, 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. That's why I keep going back. The space, that last space we're actually going to go to, it's a hit or miss. We either get a lot of evidence or we don't get anything at all. Again, we're rolling the dice because it is said that Anne Bonny, the female pirate, is all over Charleston. I'll tell you why we actually go to that specific location once we get there. At this point, do we have anything coming out of your spirit box?
You told, I think you told me to turn it down.
No, I said you could have listened. It's up to you. I mean, at this point, it's you can listen to me, you can listen to the spirit box. Everything's being recorded, so that way you can look at it from different angles. All right, so video
350.
350. Yeah, I got nothing. That's not even a date. Like March 5th? No, nothing. So I look at all the numbers in any way possible shape I can. But we're going to go up and around the corner, and I'll kind of go into, a little bit of the myths and legends around Charleston, and then we'll deep dive into that female pirate. So if you want to keep recording, you can, as far as your video recorders. By all means, do so. But yeah, we'll kind of see what happens once we get up and around the corner.
That's weird.
What was that about?
She came up here.
It was your
She was looking
female
for the other
pilot.
tour group that would-
Oh.
Oh. Well, that happens often because they have groups of 20 and they don't keep track of where their folks are at. So, yeah, that's the way things roll around here. That's why people love coming to see me, is because, first off, I know everybody's name, and I get people that come up and say, oh, I'm part of the ghost tour. I'm like, no, I already have all my people. Like, I pay attention. Like,
Yeah.
And I make sure I have my right people. So, but yeah, let's go up and around the corner.
It said Ed.
What did it say?
Ed.
Ed?
Yes.
He was here November 28th, 2020. That was the pandemic. Nobody was around. Anybody.
Right.
Simple.
Good job.
Yeah.
What is that noise? Bang that.
Well, it's Friday night, so there's probably like a football game or a baseball game going on. So maybe there's fireworks. I'll stop this right here.
Is this another tour? Your
Yeah.
tour?
It
It's not
said
my tour.
house, and then it said 9:30.
Remind me to write those down. Let me show up what's going on here. So I like to point out the wall over this courtyard. That wall is the Philadelphia alley that we were just discussing. There's a gateway right in the middle of it. There's a reason for it. Remember that the alley didn't go all the way through to Cumberland Street. In the event that there was a loser to a duel, they would bring that body through this courtyard to get to the cemetery behind me. It was a shortcut. Otherwise, they'd have to go all the way down to Queen Street to the other side and bring that dead weight all the way down here as well. I don't even remember where I found that little weird piece of Charleston, but it's like the coolest thing because you don't hear that on other tours. Like, I got all excited about it. I'm like, I talk about Philadelphia all every night. I never knew that. But yeah, it's a cool little thing. I normally, like, this is still somewhat dry, so go ahead and have a seat for a moment. We're going to chill here for just a few minutes before we deep dive into Anne Bonner. So you had 9:30 in house. 9:30 in house.
Yeah. Your umbrella's not very.
So,
I know.
where's that word list at? Let's try to see that thing. Let's see what we got going on here. Because again, there's a ton of stories, and if nothing
We
shows
should've
up on
brought
this
water.
list, I'm going to tell you why every ghost tour stops up at that cemetery, and I let them have it. Oh, we got it shut down, so it's not even working.
Oh. I didn't shut down. Storm.
It said 2 minutes at 59.
Interesting, the word
59?
storm.
What's 59? Do you remember?
There's a lot of numbers. 59 is the place where the doctor, one of the guys lived.
The doctor lived, right?
She's remembering a lot of stuff.
That's also very impressive.
She's pretty young. That must be the sister, I think, or the daughter.
I think it's his
She's
daughter.
getting relevant things for sure. So let me tell you why every ghost tour stops up at this cemetery up here. I let them have it. It's their big show and tell. So again, we don't get a whole lot of activity, but there's a reason why they're all up there. I like to point out a few things about the cemetery before I do that. There's two different sides. The eastern side, which is the one we're sitting on, is if you're from Charleston, you can actually get buried on this side. If you're not from here, you go to the other side. So Charles Pinckney, Eliza's husband, and nephew are both buried on this side because they're from here. Your 7th Vice President, John Calhoun, is across the street. So you can actually visit that side of the cemetery during the daytime to keep it open to the public. So on this side, they all stare at a sign. It says, "There's no ghost here but the Holy Ghost." There's a reason for that. 1888, a young lady dies by the name of Sue Howard Hardy. And we just talked about initials over there with Ralph Isaacs. Sue Howard Hardy. It's cheesy, it's campy, but if I haven't heard it and seen it for myself, I wouldn't even bring it up. It comes through the spirit boxes all the time. But with that, she dies 6 days after her stillborn child. Very sad story. 1987, a local photographer is in town. Well, local, he's just taking pictures of our cemeteries, and he captures a full apparition in a photograph. So the reason why they're all up there is because they love to show off the photograph. It's their big show and tell. It's their big finale. They actually have something to show. So with that, I am going to show you the photograph, but this photographer, it's 1987. He didn't have the technology that we have today to be able to figure out what was going on with it. So he sends it to Kodak. Kodak doesn't know what's going on with the photograph either. So for guys like me, this picture is gold. However, the picture, of course, is cursed. Females that are handling it in a digital format, even on a phone or a tablet, so please don't touch the tablet, are going to have the same symptoms like what we talked about at Big John's, the headache, the nausea, the dizziness. Pregnant females probably won't have a good pregnancy based on the story of the stillborn child. So I just always ask, don't touch the tablet. I'm going to go right down the line so you guys can all see the picture, because it is definitely something to see. Zoom in on
But I'm happy to have it.
the picture they took. The apparition is here. Look. Yeah, so you can see it enters the baby basket next to it. So this is why they all jump into that particular cemetery.
Sounds like
Apparition
fireworks.
is still here. In other words, we wouldn't be able to see this with our own eyes. It was only caught on its film. And that is her own grave. This is probably another instance where the baby's buried with the mother. So there's the full picture. You can see where that would look a little weird. And zoomed in, you can see her back. It's like she's praying over her own grave. And then the baby basket next to her. Marsha's like, I want that picture.
No, I can't. Okay, give me the original. Okay, now what am I looking at?
So
It said JFK.
those are her shoulders. That's the top of her head. You're looking at her back. and then there's the baby basket next to her. This is her grave.
Okay.
You see it now?
Uh-huh.
Let me see.
This one not bad.
It's her back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's
It's hunched over. So again, that's why every tour goes up there. But again, I let them have it. It's, you guys are playing with the devices. You know, that's the big allure to this tour, is the devices. So, let's get your mindset going on pirates. How to get that going. You see the burning gas lamp off in the distance down there? That's the pirate house. You can't miss it. It has a big anchor on the front of it. So when you're walking around town and you see that house with the anchor on Church Street, that's the pirate house. Somebody does live there, so don't go in his backyard looking for ghosts. He gets mad. Don't ask him how I know. But it's one of those instances. That's where Blackbeard's men actually came off their ships, had a place to stay, met with a few ladies, and they dug a tunnel underneath the pirate house going 1 block away to Dock Street Theater. Dock Street Theater at the time was called Planters Hotel. It was a whorehouse, a playhouse, and a hotel. Talking about pirates, we can see where the attraction would be. The playhouse was also a major attraction. Pirates were our first stagehands, so they would go there to work in between bartering with our locals. That tunnel was just filled in the 1990s. Why it took us so long to fill it in, I have no idea. We're below sea level here. So again, it probably flooded all the time. But rumor had it that it actually went all the way through to White Point Garden, right at the tip of the peninsula. I find that a little hard to believe, just because of the length that it would have had to have been. The claim that they have for that tunnel being so long is that's how the pirates used to sneak in to Charlestown. So again, I'm going to kind of call that one just because it's a little lengthy for them to be digging a tunnel that far in just to get to one house. So let's get everybody back up and moving. We're going to go look at one last stop and investigate fully like what we did at the Pinckney Mansion site. This one's a little bit of a crazy story, so it's got a lot of twists and turns on it. So let's go see what we can find across the street.
We go sit in the car.
Everybody in. This one's kind of this is my big finale because there's a lot going on here with the pirates. What do you think, Marsha? Are you capturing anything on that guy?
It said ghost.
It said ghost?
There's a song and it said ghost.
Wait, I'm gonna wait to see if anything else like super relevant comes up, but I am gonna write it down just so we don't forget it.
It said 3 again.
Killing me with the number 3. I got nothing. So let's talk about this little tiny building over there with the crosses on it. I like to come back here because the other tours do like to come to this building because it is very historical, but this way we're out of their way before we go explore the whole place. So first off, those are not crosses. Those are earthquake bolts on that building. What are earthquake bolts? If you didn't already know, basically turnbuckles. So if we have another earthquake, which we haven't, you can turn those turnbuckles and it's supposed to straighten the building back up again. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. So the reason I bring these up is because those are the first set of earthquake bolts that we put in Charleston, because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. We are here because the building is familiar to the time frame that Anne Bonny started her pirate career in Charleston. So I'd like to give you a little bit more history on the Power magazine, just so because there's some really cool things about it that you should know anyway when you're in Charleston. So we talked about the Charlestown walls earlier, right? Down at Lodge Alley? Yep. This is the street where the wall came up. So we're still inside the original city. It went up past the Powder magazine and started going south towards the battery behind me. It's locked into the corners on purpose. If it gets attacked from a Revolutionary warship or a pirate ship from 3 blocks away, it's going to have a hard time getting through the 32-inch thick walls because they're pretty thick. It's protecting gunpowder. Let's pretend that it actually goes all the way through and it blows up the gunpowder. There's sand in the roof from the early 1700s during its construction that is supposed to go up in the air with the explosion of the gunpowder and then fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. It's another great idea that doesn't work. Do you keep hitting buttons over there?
No,
Oh, you're good.
I want to make sure I'm not. hitting
That you're not hitting
buttons.
buttons. So the reason why we know that that theory doesn't work is because we had another powder magazine closer to the battery, south, down near the tip of the peninsula. It did get attacked, sand went up in the air, and the building burned to the ground. It doesn't exist. This one has never been attacked, even though it served in 7 different wars, including the Civil War. That was its last servant. So, again, with this particular space, we're here because it's familiar. That's why we're here. This building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. I'll answer for you. So, 1703 to 1713 is its construction era. Our story begins in 1708, right at smack in the middle of it. So, this is where it gets all twisty turning, so try to follow if you can. A young lady named Anne Cormack moves here from Ireland with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mom. You guys with me so far?
Yep.
The 3 of them are running away from his wife. How angry was she? You got to get on a boat and leave the country. Just saying. They land in Georgetown, just north of here. Dad buys a plantation. Mom dies pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here to Charleston to be able to sell anything from the plantation and keep things afloat. Now, Anne, back home in Ireland, she was kind of a bad girl, like hardcore stuff. So they say she killed one of her servants when Anne was only like 10 or 11 years old with a knife to the belly. Again, very prominent clues here. We're going to fast forward. Building's done in 13. In 1715, pirates are coming through town, and Anne is about 16, 17 years old at this time. She is stoked. She falls in love pretty quickly with one of these pirates. His name is James Bonny. You can already see where this one's going, right? Dad doesn't approve because he's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormack becomes Anne Bonny, your most famous female pirate of the Golden Age, and her career started right here in Charleston. Now, when you get down there, this is not the Captain Jack Sparrow kind of guy that she was hoping for. This guy is a privateer. He's a spy for the British. He's a coward in her eyes. This is not who she wants. She falls in love again, going on to guy number 2. I'll keep track. Guy number 2 turns out to be John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. Much cooler name. He has his own ship. We're going to call him Jack through the rest of the night. And yes, this is the same Jack that the Jack Sparrow from the movies was based off of. So, he has his own ship. Anne wants to be part of it. You can't put a girl on a pirate crew. Girls curse pirate ships. He makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy, you can be part of the crew, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. He's okay with this. Well, obviously, he's the captain. That's how it's going to go. That's what he said. She's all right with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland to keep her away from his wife. So she's like, woohoo, I'm a pirate. Let's go. Let's put 2 and 2 together. Adults. Being a female in his quarters, she's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out she's a girl. So, he drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby. These are friends of mine. They'll help you out. Come back later. We'll figure it out. She comes back, but with no baby. We have no idea what happened to this child. This is pirate lore, by the way. We have no idea what happened for sure. She's also dressed like a female. This makes Jack pretty angry. While she was away giving birth to his child, he captured another pirate crew and they're down below deck. Anne's going to go flirting because that's what Anne does. Guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females doing the exact same thing on the same ship. Her name is Mary Reed. Her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers, we'll never know for certain, and Mary becomes part of the crew. The British find out where they are. They send their entire fleet of ships to take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks. Obviously, they're going to get taken trying to take on the entire British fleet. As they're being arrested, she looks at her captain and beau, Calico Jack, and says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." So the word dog shows up here often as well. The judge, his name is Nicholas Laws. So when you guys hear my name or see my name, it's not me, it's the judge. He wants to see the 2 men that fought back so valiantly after he's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunken sailors that wouldn't come up and fight. So they're already dead and gone. Anne and Mary go in front of the judge. They reveal their gender. He doesn't care that they're female. He's still going to hang them because they're still pirates. See, I'm getting caught mouth already because I talk too fast. I get excited about this one. So, at any rate, they scream out, "We plead our bellies," meaning they're both claiming to be pregnant. You can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail. Delays the hanging, but Dad is still here in the Charlestown area with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries. That's guy number 4, but husband number 2, has 4 children, and dies at the age of 84. That's all we know. As far as Mary Reed goes, she died a year later, in 1721, from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. I'm sure it was scurvious and bumpy and gross and whatever else you guys want to come up with. But again, pretty nasty stuff. As far as questions you can ask here, I left out 2 things on purpose. Normally, at this time, we're doing really well with our devices, so I leave it really open. You can ask whatever you want to, but 2 things I can prove for certain are the name of Calico Jack's ship and the name of Anne Bonny's parents. That would be the father and the mistress. Everything else is fair game. ask whatever you want to. As far as I told you at the beginning of this tour where people have passed out on my tours, I'm going to take another minute of your time before I spread you out with your devices, because this is an instance where it's actually relevant to the story. Back in September, I bring my group back here. It's about 8 or 9 people. The kid next to me literally goes white as a ghost. Yes, that pun was intended. White as a ghost. No chuckles at all?
Yeah.
Come on.
Good one.
So anyway, the kid goes white as a ghost. I start to pick him up, right, by his armpit. His boyfriend picks him up from the other side, and we carry him over to that wall over there. I send the boyfriend over to the vending machines with a couple of dollars, get him a bottle of water, bring it back. He's feeling better. I then tell the story that I just told you. It's important to know that they had no idea what was going on yet. I separate everybody with their devices, go tell them to have fun. They pull me aside. We have to tell you something. We are 2 transgender males, meaning I had 2 females dressed as males on my tour, just like Anne and Mary were on the pirate ship. Made sense as to why one of them about near passed out and hit his head on the ground as we entered the space. This is why I give the heated warning at the beginning of my tours. I've always done it, but that is a very specific instance, and they're okay with being part of the story every night. I made sure of that. I'm like, guys, I can't make this stuff up. So it's great stuff. But we are going to spread out. For those of you with cameras, if you do want to go to the front of the powder magazine, you can. That means you have to exit the lot and make a left. Just don't interrupt the other tours with the cameras. Like, we're going to end over there by the wall. And as far as EMF goes, we don't get a whole lot of EMF. So if we get anything, I'll be excited. Your 30.1 in Lodge Alley was super surprising, so maybe you can come up with something else, and we can definitely use that REM pod in here. The closer the EMFs get to the bushes, basically the front, we have parking meters up there. It's going to make them go off, so kind of figure that out as you're like, oh, well, we're close to the sidewalks. The reason why the parking meters make them go off is because the electrical lines are underneath the sidewalks. It's strong enough to make it go off. So we'll get like little 2 to 4 ranges the closer you get. But yeah, definitely turn that REM pod on. You guys are already recording on your video recorders. But again, if you want to go to the front, exit the lot, make a left, put your cameras right inside the wrought iron gate, get a little bit of footage, and come on back. Again, we'll know within a couple of minutes. Can you reset?
Okay, say the name of the woman again.
Anne Bonnie.
Anne Bonnie, and then the ship I'm asking about is
Calico Jack's ship.
the Jack. Anne Bonnie.
I have another name that she went by when she was...
Hi, good. Anne Bonnie. You get one. Oh, Anne Bonnie. Anne Bonnie.
I have no clue what I'm doing.
Well, you're fine. Me too. And I don't think this has anything to do with it. But he was talking about this. Yeah, the level. It said alien.
It said what?
Alien.
Said what now?
Alien. When you're telling the story about the 2 girls, it's alien.
Everybody dry enough? I know y'all brought umbrellas, but I felt bad that it rained, but I can't control that
fine.
either.
Can't control that. I thought it was going to be a storm.
Take a look at your word list. We're still near. I told you we're going to get
What's
turned
something going on?
to Philadelphia.
No, I'm just, he told me to keep it on a living person, so
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
following you for the time being.
Anne Bonnie, can you give me the name of your parents?
Yeah, that storm was
Anne Bonnie.
So far,
Can you give me
Reed,
the name?
you get the number 1.
Can you give me some names? Anne Bonnie.
George Washington.
It's brave.
Okay. What's
Yeah,
the guy's?
when you're talking about
What was
Washington,
the ship again?
Joe Calico
She's
ship.
the first president.
What's the name of Joe Calico's ship?
I knew he was the first president.
I know, but that's why you guys keep me around to put all the clues together. But yeah, I'm excited about Reed and Allie so far. Like, that's pretty awesome. Abby, are you hearing anything?
Robert?
Since you heard something called Kensington?
Ken? You heard Kensington. Like, you heard a person Kensington or the word Kensington?
Just the word Densington.
Denton.
Well, that's what it sounds like.
Densington. That is interesting. And I'm going to reveal here in a
The
minute.
ship is, I mean, the person's
Like, it's just, it's
Joe
very
Calico.
interesting.
Joe Calico. Why can't I remember?
Just H.
Can you give me the name of Joe Calico's
I mean, other than Sue Howard Hardy, but she usually gives us SH or SHH. So just be a little,
Mayflower.
act a little more casual for me.
You heard Mayflower?
Well, they were saying, you know, April showers bring Mayflower, so I thought maybe Mayflower was the name. He came over on the Mayflower.
Maybe that's something to do with the baby. I said I heard born twice.
And what's her name again?
Belle?
I can't. I'm just too tired. What's the Jane?
James Bonnie was the first husband, and then he married Anne Bonnie, and then Calico Jack was the boyfriend.
Okay.
He was the big captain that she wanted to be.
So all this colors, the red, that's
Right.
The red means like picking up living people. I
the
think
yellow is.
it's just
See, Linda, you had a nice,
heat.
easy job.
It's,
I did.
It wasn't so
it's
bad at all, was it?
connecting to the
I
heat.
didn't have a problem.
If the blue,
Blue's good.
yeah, and it's got something to do with that little blue line, that little blue dot over here.
Yeah, what the? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it keeps.
The blue dot moves around.
You're surprised.
Yeah, I don't know if that's.
31 out of the lodge. We got 10 out of this. That's
I see,
pretty good
it
stuff.
keeps moving all around.
This is
Like
like
those are
registering here at
cold
all, but it
spots,
probably
maybe.
won't. Correct.
I don't know.
Correct. Yeah, if you get anything, I'll be super stoked. This is not usually a high place for EMF. Like his 10, like that's high for this location. You just had a little bit of a blip. Like
Okay,
it
here's
just flashed a
C.
little bit. But nothing where I'm like getting super excited about you.
Nope.
I heard Bible.
We're near the church. That's pretty common.
Oh, the H. No, there's H.
I have no idea what that
Here
H is.
And then oh God, right here. Alley, HV.
Again, I'm excited about Reed showing up here.
Okay.
I don't find that coincidental at all. I'm just hoping that what Lynn's got going on in her recording, I'll be able to match all of those little clues up
Yeah.
and verify each one of them. Yep, it is. It's not an easy thing to do. And usually my first cup of coffee, what'd you hear? But yeah, my first cup of coffee, that's what I'm doing. I'm listening to that spirit box. Like, if I don't get started like first thing in the morning,
Yeah.
you hit that temperature gauge again. Top up. There you go. Which one? It's the not the light.
Let me see if you have any ghost on you. I'm looking for ghost on you. Don't see any. You have no spirits on you.
There's September.
Think good.
Degrees having temperature change.
How close are we to
Okay. Pretty close.
I don't actually a whole lot of temperature drops on the floor.
I don't think.
Not just because we're in motion so much, but if we don't have those things ready, that's the only. It's just an at the ready type device.
What happened to walk around the corner here? Everybody's signed up.
Yeah, you guys can go check out the front if you want to.
Yeah.
Or I'm just gonna hang out here and wait for you guys to come back, and then we'll wrap it up.
I'm gonna go around this way. We're gonna walk through. Okay. I wanna go see the cemetery.
No, you can't do it at night. It's locked.
Well, we can just look at it from the gate.
We saw it today.
We didn't know we were looking for.
I know. I was just telling you.
Outer magazine. It's a funny name.
This is where they kept all the powder ammunition
Oh, okay,
here, and a
okay.
magazine is a storehouse for it.
Oh yeah, lots of them, and I've gone on a few of those.
Oh, we're supposed to stay out his way. Okay.
We were here first.
Oh,
Why do we have to leave? You know, they took over the cemetery when we couldn't get there. Did you see this? I have lights.
how far? How many?
3. Remember what he said about the wires under the...
Oh, and the parking meters. And the parking meters. Okay. I didn't see it goes.
That would be taken by another tour. I'm walking in my sleep.
You're the zombie.
I probably will. I don't want to be by a problem. So more lights out there would be because of the parking meters, right?
Correct.
So much for that excitement.
It was fun to look. We got overtaken by another tour.
Yeah, it's pretty common.
I heard the word Jack.
Jack shows up here a lot.
I just heard Jack.
I'm going to write it down here as soon as I give everybody the final answers. Go ahead and reset that thing. See what it...
Keep resetting it.
But you're also still moving. That's why you guys keep me around.
I heard I love you.
So let's get you guys the answers to the 2 measly questions.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why Densington was so interesting. So first off, the picture of Anne Bonny that I found was one of the few you could find with her with an actual shirt on. She used to bare her breasts to show the men she killed that they were just killed by a woman. So again, a lot of those photographs depict that. So I get a lot of teenage boys on the tour, so I can't obviously show that kind of picture here on the tour. So I also like this picture because it shows off the flintlocks that they have. I'm not a gun person, but I love the way like the flintlock evolved during that century. So it's just fascinating to me. But yeah, I'd like to get the name of her parents were Mary Brennan and William Cormack. You guys were not expecting a secondary Mary, which is one of the reasons why I leave that question out there for you. I am excited about the word Reed showed up on the word list once we entered the space. Obviously, her friend / lover was Mary Reed, so I'll obviously be looking for terms around Mary when I'm listening to the Spirit Box and watching the videos to see if anything audio piece come up. I also like to show you what Calico Jack looked like, just because he's a very interesting character. Calico Jack was named that because of the jackets he wore. They came from the men he killed, mainly the British. So Calico Jack was how he got that name. So probably one of the only pictures of Calico Jack that's accurate to what he actually looked like. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. The name of his ship was called the Kingston. So when you said, I thought you said Kensington, I'm like, damn, that's close. Like, I don't expect Kingston, but I would take King, which you did hear King back at the Pinckney Mansion site. Again, they're said to be seen all over town, but again, I usually wait till we're in the space so it's a little bit more relevant. So Densington, like, that's interesting that you heard such a weird term.
Well, it wasn't clear. It could have been.
But even still, Kingston, a very significant name. But I do expect the word King to come up as we're asking, like what you were doing, like what's the name of the ship. So the word King would suffice in this location, because again, the radio station's not going to say Kingston. So based on like what we've actually got in real time, obviously a little bit lighter than normal. But of course, the word list is a little lighter. I got excited with obviously Reed. That's probably the most prominent thing we've had show up all night long. I'll have to see what's going on with the videos. We'll see just have to see how steady Abby is with her video as I'm watching that one. Because she was wiggly quite a bit throughout the night, which is perfectly fine. But as far as like the readings that we got on that EMF was another big prominent feature. Like the Lodge Alley, like we don't get readings down there. Again, 2 to 4, and I can debunk it with the restaurant right next door, usually right away. Very weird, just carrying a suitcase around. But then you said you had a 10.5 in here.
Yeah, in here.
That's pretty nuts too. Like that's a high reading for this location. I'll just give it. It's not the Pinckney Mansion site for certain. It's not going to give us 200s. And the readings he's getting right now, that's kind of nuts too. The fact that it's just going all over the place. That's nuts. So, a little lighter than normal, but again, we don't know what I'm going to find in the morning. So I told you I'd be completely honest with you. But at least, if anything, you guys learned a little bit of history about Charleston and some crazy stuff about devices you've never even seen before.
Right.
So that's half the attraction to this tour. I just happen to be very fluent with my history. And there are things that I don't know, so I have to always research. That's how I found out about 300 and George Washington, and those kind of things. It's not stuff that tourism office said, you have to tell these people about this. And it's like, no, I'm going to tell you guys stuff that I learned from the tours. So if something comes up and I need to research it, that's obviously how I came up with the questions to give you guys. So I'm going to start collecting devices, and then you guys can ask me even more questions if you have any, and then we'll kind of get you guys directed back to wherever you guys need to go.
Okay.
Linda, how bad was it?
It was fun. Thank
You weren't
you.
petrified? Like you
But
thought you were going to be?
Well, I didn't want to be the last one. I didn't want to be the sweep. This wasn't a hike.
Let's move a little closer so I can start taking those from you.
Okay. Give this to you.
I know, she's like, oh, I'll take it back. Well, the thing is when you're using all these devices, it's almost like you're in control. Usually
Yes.
ghosts are the fear of the unknown because you can't
Yeah.
see things.
That's right.
Don't always get the chance to hear something. So when you have electronics,
Well, it was fun because it was a different level of, very
Okay, and
enjoyable.
so you're going to send us something, and what are we going to do with that? What
So-
do we do with that?
as far